every swing that leads to balls out of the ballpark leads to confidence for your young core, which is something that we're seeing with the Cardinals. They're now 9 games above 500. And today, it felt like a game where the Cardinals put their hand out with the game in the palm and said, come and take it, Guardians. Take it. Take it.
Yes.
There were so many opportunities, up 3-0, where the Guardians could have made it a game. They had early base runners. They were 0 for 9 with runners in scoring position. They left 10 men on base. They lost by 7. And then finally, the Cardinals break through for some add-on runs in the 7th and 8th innings, a 2-run home run from Victor Scott. You see some ABC baseball in the 8th inning. That's the style of baseball that we've grown accustomed to with the Cardinals, is that they're going to manufacture runs, but also adding the long ball. There are very few weaknesses in this offense right now, and Brant Brown has found such a good strategy or such a good rhythm in this team in how to get them prepared for each and every series. And now that you've swept the Guardians, I talked about it with Joe Roderick, there's less pressure to go and sweep the Pirates, but it's possible. You could realistically go 6-0 on this part of the road trip. You could go 6-0 on this part of the road trip, and who knows how that's going to play out, but you look at Chicago looming, this is a very good start for how you'd like things to go if you're a Cardinals fan.
Yeah, absolutely. It puts yourself in a situation, right, to, even though, right, that sour taste is gone for the moment after a sweep, I have no doubt that, the guys are going to be going into that 4th of July weekend series at Wrigley, remembering how they dropped those last couple of games, and that is going to be motivation going in. You set yourself up well with the way you've played these last 3 games, and if you're able to, the expectation obviously is to win the series against the Pirates. If you are able to at least win 2, then you put yourself in a good position to be right back in there around, 2 to 3 games out. And, by series end, if you are able to walk away with a series win against the Cubs, which is not going to be an easy task on a holiday weekend at Wrigley Field, there will be 40,000 fans there at least every day. That's going to be a tough task, but you put yourself in a position, right, if you play good baseball next weekend, to be neck and neck in the series with the Cubs and potentially the Brewers as well.
And right now, you get 2 teams, the Cubs and the Brewers, who just aren't going on losing streaks. The Cardinals have had theirs. They had theirs at the beginning of the month. The Cubs didn't play their best in the middle stages of June, but they're still not the type of team that's going to go and lose 5 or 6 in a row. The Pirates right now beating up on the Mets. The Cardinals now 500 on the road, if you can believe it. That was a huge point of conversation for us at the beginning of the year, just the inability to win on the road. They've been torrid on the road over the past few weeks. This is something that if you're a Cardinals fan, you're taking a look at. Look at the starting pitcher slate for St. Louis upcoming against the Pirates. You have Fetty, you have Palante, you have Sonny Gray set to go versus the Pirates. You're not going to have your 1 or your 2. I guess Matthew Liberatore will be your 2, and he will feature against the Cubs. You're not going to have Sonny Gray yet again against the Cubs. Would you consider maybe pushing him back off that start? I know he's such a creature of habit and had one of his best starts of the year, or maybe definitely his best start of the year. Would you consider pushing him back and maybe letting him start game 1 against the Cubs at Wrigley?
That's a good question. Could we potentially see it? I mean, it won't be, my thought is, would you be able to use McGreevy as that spot start? And I don't think that you'd be able to, because it wouldn't have been 2 weeks or 15 days, whatever it is, since the last time that you came out so that he was started. So you'd have to be using someone on short rest. I would be surprised if they did. Now, that's not what you asked me. You asked me if I would. Because Sonny Gray is such a creature of habit, I don't know if I mess with it. I understand the thought and the reasoning behind it, but for the same reason that they didn't use Sonny Gray against Chicago at home, they don't. I'd be surprised if they use him. They maneuver things to put him in that start as well. I don't know. Things worked out so well when you have Sonny Gray in his rhythm. You're going to have to force someone else to go on short rest. If you do use Sonny Gray, this is a long stretch of baseball. Everyone is already tired as is. I probably lean against it, even though I think, like, the fan in me, that's riding the emotion, says you have to have your best pitchers going against the Cubbies. But it's going to be, I think that it puts you in too difficult of a spot in that final game against the Pirates, unless you want unless you want Steven Matz to spot start, but then that limits him for how you're able to use him for that entire Cubs series. Without Michael McGreevy, I don't know how they make that work. It feels like a really tough spot to me.
Well, and I have an idea I want to throw by you, but first let's mention that all content here on STL Sports Central is provided by DraftKings, and baseball season is officially underway. If you didn't already notice, it's time to step up to the plate with DraftKings Pick 6. Think of DraftKings Pick 6 as your fastball right down the middle. It's the easiest way to play for cash and take a shot at a big win. Just select 2 or more players and choose if they'll have more or less of a stat. Picks is available in most states, including California, Texas, Georgia, Missouri, and more. Cash in your baseball knowledge. New players get $50 in Pick 6 credits instantly on just a $5 entry. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app and use code STL Sports. That's code STL Sports for new customers to play $5. Get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Better payouts, bigger wins only with Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
All right, one thing we haven't seen from the Cardinals this year is a bullpen day, and that was sort of what I was alluding to in Game 3 against the Pirates. The reason why I say it, and this is totally to play devil's advocate, I don't think they're going to do this, but it affords you the opportunity to push Sonny Gray back, and it gives you a built-in off day the next day. You have that off day. It's the 3rd off day of the month, I believe, for the Cardinals. You take into consideration one of the days off via a postponement that ended up being a doubleheader earlier this month. That would give you a chance to get Sonny Gray starting game number 1 on July 4th. Your biggest pitch, your best pitcher in the biggest moment on the biggest day, the brightest stage against your biggest rival. To me, I mean, it's worth at least thinking about with how well he's pitched his last couple times on the mound.
He has looked very good as of late. I do understand the argument for that reason. You know, this Cubs Cardinals at Wrigley, it feels like it's about as must win up to this point in the season as you can get. The question becomes, like, all of a sudden, what if you are in a series split going into Game 3 and now you're relying on a tired bullpen? Now, like you said, they're going into an off day the next day, so that does play a part in it. Boy, what would be worse than not having Sonny Gray against the Cubs is losing a series against the Pirates when you're in a split, and then you have a bullpen start, and all of a sudden, you know, things turn on their head. That would be worst case scenario. I understand the argument. I get it. But I think that Steven Matz as a primetime lefty has been too important to the bullpen to say, okay, we're going to throw him for 3 innings. And all of a sudden he's out for the first couple of games against the Cubs. Puts you in a tough spot. You're weighing the consequences of having no Steven Matz for at least a couple of games probably of that series compared to not using Sonny Gray in that series. You know, pick your poison. You're in a tough spot either way.